I'm on a very colourful high street in East London. Aberfeldy Street is in the heart of a very large Bangladeshi community here in Poplar. And all of these buildings have been painted in bright, distinctive patterns inspired by Bangladeshi traditions. Pre-pandemic, this street looked like any other British post-war high street. But when the pandemic hit and a nationwide lockdown became inevitable, the shops and businesses along this street began to dread the loss of business. And in a bid to encourage people into the area and to shop locally, they decided to commission this public artwork to celebrate local diversity. The patterns were inspired by local residents and business owners who donated their patterns and textiles to use as inspiration. For 6 weeks in summer 2020, a team of 15 people worked on the project, using nearly 900 litres of paint and 300 spray cans. The artwork was only envisaged to have a lifespan of 5 years, but here we are 5 years later and it's still looking really good. But why paint a random high street in East London? Well, what I didn't realise before visiting was that all of this is a meanwhile use, a temporary improvement while larger redevelopment plans for the area are worked out. In London, examples include Box Park in Shoreditch, Mercato Metropolitano in Elephant and Castle, or Vinegar Yard in London Bridge. They help to keep places attractive and breathe life into an area while it waits to be redeveloped. They're probably worth a whole video to fully explore them, but I was sad to learn that these coloured pattern buildings are due to be demolished as part of this wider redevelopment. But it doesn't look like London when you're walking around, especially on a sunny day like today. It does look like somewhere in, maybe like Spain or South America or somewhere. It looks very, very distinctive, it looks very unique, and I think that brings people into the area. So if we could do this with our other high streets, if we could make our other post-war high streets that all kind of look the same, a bit more distinct and a bit more reflective of the diversity of the communities that they're in, I think that could be quite good for our high streets and quite good as a very, very simple and effective placemaking tactic. And this area is now seeing a lot of new development. Canary Wharf is just over there and the DLR runs nearby, so it's growing in popularity as a place to live. In its place, on one side of the street will be this block of social housing with 66 homes. And along the ground floor will be small but modernised retail units that will provide affordable and subsidised space for local businesses, retaining some of the shops and businesses that are already along the street here. The retail units are to be textured and embossed with the same patterns that are present on the street today. Now, obviously, I understand the need for new buildings, especially social housing, but I can't help but feel that they could have leaned a bit more into the colour and patterns. That would have allowed the street to retain this highly successful and colourful identity that it's built over the last 5 years. There's loads of examples from across London where painting brick buildings like this has instantly lifted their surroundings. There's still time though, maybe this will be incorporated once the building is completed. There'll be another apartment building on the other side of the street, and that one will be similar, with apartments above smaller retail units aimed at retaining local businesses. It's all part of the Aberfeldy Village master plan, which proposes over 1,600 new homes and much improved public realm and green space for the area. Over 30% of homes here will be classed as affordable. The first phase of this development has already brought some decent improvements to streets and public spaces, which have also created better links between the High Street and East India DLR station. A future part of the master plan involves creating a new town square at the top of Aberfeldy Street, which they're intending will act as a hub for the community. It's formed by this L-shaped apartment building framed with new retail units on the ground floor and overlooked by apartments above, which should help to keep it safe and animated. The balconies are a pretty decent size as well, so they'll probably get well used. One of the biggest interventions proposed is to transform this car-dominated environment next to the A12. This busy road currently cuts the area in two. It separates the Aberfeldy area from the small green space at Jolly's Green and is a barrier to pedestrian access to other parts of the city. So this new underpass will be created for pedestrians and cyclists, which will help overcome the barrier effect that this massive road has on the area. It has this retail unit embedded into it, which I think is actually underneath the road. A pretty efficient use of space, which should also ensure that the underpass is busy, safe and well lit. But there'll also be significant improvements to other green spaces in the area, such as Braithwaite Park and Leven Road Park, which will see improvements and new kids' play areas paid for by the new developments proposed here. Being so close to the docks, this area was heavily bombed during the war and there was very little left. So after the war, there was an enormous post-war rebuild. You'll notice that a lot of the buildings around here, there's no kind of Victorian buildings or older buildings around here. Everything is post-war, everything has been built during that post-war rebuild. An iconic Balfron Tower just around the corner here, which is Trellick Tower's twin sister, was born out of this rebuild as well. And you might recognise the name Aberfeldy as a borough in Scotland. In fact, a lot of the place names and street names around here are named after Scottish towns and places and islands. We even saw an estate called Tartan House. And the reason for this is because in 1823 the area was bought by a Scottish engineer called Hugh Mackintosh, who came to London to work on the construction of the docks, and I guess he was just feeling a bit homesick. But yeah, I just wanted to come here and show you the beautiful artwork and the patterns and the colours. It could form a blueprint for other British post-war high streets, because this street looked like any other British street before, and now it has all of these distinct and unique patterns, and it creates a bit of a draw into the area. So it could provide a blueprint for how to treat our British high streets post-pandemic. Even though these colourful buildings are sadly going to be demolished soon, I think we can take the best of it for other neighbourhoods across the UK. Painting otherwise quite drab looking buildings and high streets and transforming them into an explosion of colour which reflects local communities and cultures and instantly lifts their surroundings. It's a really clever and not very expensive placemaking tactic to breathe some life into our streets and create something a bit different and unique. And I'd like to see this idea brought into other communities up and down the country. Let me know in the comments which places or high streets you think could benefit from this sort of thing. This video was pretty unplanned. I just wanted to see what they'd done here, and it's only after I visited that I learned the high street was due to be totally redeveloped. So if you feel like this video is a little bit rudderless, that's probably why. But I hope you still enjoyed coming with me on this trip to East London, and as always, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.